Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Curious Creatures Drawing Workshop. So today's Curious Creature is going to be based on some prompts that I got from Walkerville Primary School a while ago during a workshop. So we are going to create a creature based on an armadillo, an orangutan, and a dog with 2 legs, 2 eyes, furry ears, that lives in a swamp and is giant compared to everything around it. So if we have a look at our reference photos, up the top we have our armadillo. Now they are a beautiful creature that have this incredible armor plating, and they can actually roll themselves up into a little ball to help protect them from predators. Our second line is orangutans. And down the bottom we have our dog. Now, a breed wasn't specified, so I decided to go with a golden retriever. But remember, you can always pick another type of dog if you would prefer. All right, now grab your paper and your pencil, and remember when we start drawing, you want to be pressing very lightly on your paper, as this is going to have a lot of construction lines as we start to work out our design. But let's put a circle about here for our head, our face area. Now I'm thinking that I might have our creature swinging through the trees like an orangutan might do. So this line here is going to be an indication of the spine, where the spine of our creature will be. And I'm just going to put a circle here, which is going to indicate the hip area. And then I'm just going to kind of block out where I think my foot is roughly going to be. And on the other side, I'm going to imagine that we can see the other leg as well. Now I'm thinking that maybe they have the dexterity that orangutans have on their feet as well as their hands, so that they can grab onto maybe vines as they're swinging through a swampy jungle kind of area. Alright, now I'm just going to put in a couple of circles here, and these are going to represent the shoulder blades. Now I'm thinking we're going to have really long arms. Again, sort of like an orangutan, but you know, kind of exaggerated, really, really long. And then we're going to have our hand kind of here. And maybe kind of the same here. So I'm kind of imagining that there's probably vines or trees that our creature is swinging in between. So we'll come to that shortly. So this is kind of our rough block out at the moment, and I'm just going to add in a cross in the face, just a curved cross here. Now this is going to help us work out the direction that our character is looking, our creature is looking, as well as giving us a center point for the face. So from here, we're going to start going back to our animal references and start plotting in some extra detail. Now we've got a lot of orangutan in this pose already, so I want to bring in a bit of armadillo, because I love armadillos. They're beautiful creatures. And I'm thinking I want to bring in that long, beautiful kind of almost triangular face that they have. So we're just going to add that just here. So it's just essentially going to be a bit of a triangle. I'm going to have a little bit of a curved element just there, just where the mouth is. And then I'm going to put the eye in. Now, both our orangutan and our dogs are both hunters. So their eyes are a little more forward than the armadillo, which has them a little bit more to the side. So I'm just going to kind of put them in here. And I will only see the one eye, I think. Might have him looking a little bit more directly to the side. And some ears. Now we had furry ears, and I actually think I'm going to bring in some of our beautiful golden retriever ears. But I'm going to make them a little more pointed, a bit like how an armadillo has. So I'm just going to add those in here. And they need to be furry, but rather than making them maybe furry on the inside section, which you'll often see with dogs, I think I'm gonna add some little furry tufts of hair just at the end of the ears. Maybe just kind of running down a bit like that. So that's one ear, and then we'll put the other ear in. And so maybe these ears are quite similar to the dog's ears in that they can actually change the shape of their ears separately, which is how you get that great look on dogs where you have one ear up and one ear down. So let's do that. I might just change the shape. So you can obviously do slightly different ears if you'd like, but I'm going to include something like that. Now I'm going to move on to the body, I think, at this stage. And I think we're going to go with quite a round kind of shape. So we're just going to put a curved in here for the back. We're just, as you can see, we're drawing over the lines, which is why it's very important to draw nice and light. And I'm thinking maybe our creature has a bit of a belly on him. Why not? Bit of a belly. Alright, and then we're going to come up here. And we'll refine some of these details as we go. And then we're going to put our legs in. Now I'm thinking because he is swinging through the trees, or our creature is swinging through the trees, that maybe we're going to have some really strong leg and arm muscles. Alright, so let's put these in here. So these are a bit more reminiscent of dog legs. Alright, so we're going to have really powerful kind of thigh muscles here. And then we're going to kind of come down to really thin, kind of strong tendons and cartilage and bone here, which is what we have in dogs. Now we won't be able to see too much of the thigh on the other side, so we're just going to draw through and imagine where that's going to be. Alright, and then add our lines in like here. So you can kind of imagine that these are sort of slightly curvy triangles that we're using at this moment in time. And then our feet. Now, as I said, I'm imagining we're kind of going back to those orangutan feet where they have almost like fingers on the back there. So let's add in some fingers. I think maybe we'll just add in 4. So we won't add in 5. We'll give him 4. And on this one, we'll do the same. And we'll curve this one around as well. So we'll have 1, and then 2. And this one we might make fully curved. So this is where, when we're doing some like a hand with the fingers curved over, we don't have to draw every single finger in complete detail. So we can see we can draw the first one quite clearly, and then the rest we're only drawing that kind of overarching line, whereas this one's a little bit more detailed because they're offset from each other. So something like that. That looks pretty cool. Looks very, very weird, but very cool. All right, now back to the arms. So again, we're going to have maybe really strong shoulder muscles here. So we're going to draw kind of a nice big shoulder shape here. And then we're going to come down to our elbow. So we're just going to use lots of these kind of triangular shapes just to connect our arms together. So here where we're drawing this one where we ended an elbow, we're just going to put that extra circle in, and that's going to be our elbow point there. Okay, and then the hand. Now, This one, as I said, I'm imagining that we're holding on to some vines, which we'll draw in a second. So we're going to draw another kind of triangular shape. So it's almost going to be like a connecting diamond here between the forearm and the hand. And then from there, we're going to curl our fingers over. So this one can be a little bit tricky, so you can just take your time with this one. There's no need to rush. And again, we'll do 4. So this is the inside of the palm that we're seeing here, whereas on this hand, we're seeing the back of the palm, or the back of the hand. And again, with this one, we only need to show the lines. This one, we're going to show the individual fingers. So it can be a little tricky, but that's absolutely fine. Just take your time. All right, so this is our basic shape at the moment. So we've got a bit of dog, bit of orangutan, a bit of armadillo, but now we're going to have the real fun and start adding in all of the extra details. Now I'm just going to erase a little bit of my construction lines here so that you can see my shapes a little bit clearer. Now you do not need to do this. It's entirely up to you. In fact, I recommend that you don't. If you've drawn nice and light, you shouldn't need to. But I'm just going to do this so you can see it a little bit clearer on my page. Okay. All right, so let's start adding in some of that beautiful detail. Now I'm going to add in quite a bit of, quite a bit of armadillo and orangutan for this. Maybe not as much dog. I think maybe the dog might be definitely in the ears, and I think maybe we'll give our creature kind of a golden retriever nose. So we're going to have that beautiful nose that they have. All right, so we're going to do that. I find their nose incredibly expressive. I absolutely love them. And maybe what we'll do is we'll also give them a little bit of their whisker pads that we get in dogs. So we can just add that in just down to here. Then I'm just going to extend that neck section down so we can see where it all joins. Okay. Now let's put in some of that armor plating. So armadillos have this beautiful plating, particularly over the eyes. So it's almost like wearing a little bit of a helmet, and it comes all the way down to their nose and kind of curves around a little bit like this, almost as if you were wearing like a medieval visor. So let's add that in. Just like that, which is pretty cool. And maybe we'll put some, maybe we'll join it around the back of the head, and he can have some kind of on his cheek as well, because that's kind of cool. So just think about what kind of shape you might want. So you can do any kind of shape that you like there. It's just about exploring a few different bits and pieces that you can do. All right, let's come back and work on this eye a little bit more. So we want our creature to be looking forward because we're swinging, and if you want, you can give him a bit of a smile. Maybe a bit of a smile, why not? So we want to have a looking forward a bit. And again, armadillos have this ring almost around their eyes, like a little bit of extra skin folds around there just to give them a bit of extra protection. In fact, so do the orangutans. The orangutans have quite deep set eyes, so we're going to do that as well. All right, so let's keep thinking, where else would we like some armor plating? Maybe along the shoulders. It's a good place to have some armor plating. So let's have some armor plating along the shoulders and maybe along the top of the arms. I think that will work quite well. So we can just add those in. So you can see how the shapes that we've already drawn are going to help give us this definition when we're starting to add in all this extra detail. So suddenly it gives us a lot more realistic shapes when I'm adding these extra details in. And last bit, maybe let's put some armor plating on the legs and the knees. So we're going to curve it there, and then maybe I'll have an overlap here. So the armadillo plating overlaps. So that's why I'm doing a few options here where we have some different almost sheets of armor overlapping over the top, because obviously they need to be able to move. So we have these different sections of protection. Okay. All right, so that is the rough outline of the armor plating, and so now we can go in and add some details. So this armor plating, is up to you what kind of pattern you would like to use. I'm going to use a bit of a square pattern, slightly offset from each other, which is very armadillo, but you might want to add in your own. You might want to use circles or ovals, or maybe more like fish scales, which are a slightly different pattern, or bird scales. It's entirely up to you. We're just going to add in this kind of pattern as we go down to show that it's made up of lots of different bits and pieces. So again, take your time with this. This part will take a little bit of time to do. And this is where we can follow. You can see here how I'm curving my lines around as if I'm following the curved pattern of our creature. So when we're drawing something round, if we want to show that it's round in a drawing, we don't draw straight lines because that's very flat. What we do is we curve the lines around the object. And this is what gives drawings their 3D shape. All right, it makes them look like it's real life. It gives them some depth. So that's what I'm doing here. So I'm kind of curving the lines. It doesn't matter if they're not perfect, it's just a starting sketch. And then I'm coming in and doing my little scales. So you can do it this way where you draw the big lines and add it in, or what I was doing earlier where I was drawing little squares. But this is probably a bit easier if drawing curved lines is a new thing for you, if it's a new technique. Now I'm just tweaking this shape as I go a little bit. That's why we're starting to refine a little bit. All right, and then we're going to add in our shapes. Now, very important here as well, this arm, the lines are going to go this way, but this arm, we're going to do our curves this way. And this is because this arm is going away from us in space, whereas this arm's kind of curving towards us. So the direction that we draw the lines will help us visualize where it is in space. So just to show you, I'll do this. And this doesn't matter whether you're drawing square shapes or round shapes or curved shapes for your armor plating. The basics of that is the same. All right, and then just our last little bit down here, which is our last leg. All right, and I think that's all of our armor plating. Wonderful. All right, so we have our slightly interesting looking creature so far. Just going to add a bit of definition there on the face. Now let's come down to the rest of the body. Now, both golden retrievers and orangutans actually have a lot of long furry hair or fur, obviously. So let's add in some of that. So particularly maybe around this middle section here, let's add some long fur. So we're just going to do that by adding in some of these really kind of long lines. And you don't have to be too perfect with this because it's all about being furry. So when we're drawing fur, we can kind of layer just these little lines, and they're going to be different lengths and widths, and that's perfectly fine. And that gives us a very furry kind of look. And then we can kind of go over and do another layer. Now, I don't like to draw all the lines. I only like to draw a little bit like this. So you're going to have a bit of white space, and that's really good. It's really important because it lets you kind of imagine what's there as well. Another way to do it, if you want to do it a little bit more stylized, is you can kind of do these sort of sharp, almost triangular kind of spiky bits. Or you might have your own way of drawing hair and fur. It's entirely up to you. But we're just going to add that here on the body. As I said, I wanted to give him a little bit of a gut, so I'm just going to make sure we've got that line very clear. And I reckon we'll just continue that fur all the way down, all the way over the body. And maybe even into the arms. So this hair is probably not going to be as long. We'll just kind of keep it going just for a little bit here. So where he doesn't have plating, he's very furry. So just like that, and then on the last of the legs. And we always want to make sure that the fur is going downwards because of gravity. So we don't want to draw spikes going up at this stage, except for the tufts of the ears because they're a little bit different. All right. So that's looking pretty interesting at the moment. So from here, you can add in some extra details if you want. Maybe your animal has some patterns, or maybe you want to add in a little bit more fur. I'm just putting a little bit more fur here around his cheek. And maybe I will put a little bit of fur just here on the inside of his ears. So from here you can start to add in all these extra patterns. So maybe he has some spots, or our creature has some spots, or maybe there's some other patterns. If you decide to color our creature in, that's when you can start to go. Maybe they are bright orange like an orangutan, or more of a golden color like a golden retriever, or maybe they're different shades of browns and tans like an armadillo. So you can really play with that. But what we're going to do now is we're going to add in some background elements, which is going to be the bits of the swamp. Now, I'm imagining here that our creature is swinging on some vines, just like this. So I'm just going to draw a couple of lines like that to imagine that our creature is swinging through the trees. But we've said that our creature is also giant. So we need to think about how can we give an idea of the size of our character, of our creature. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do that by making the leaves on this vine very, very small. So I'll have to do a few other things as well because leaves can be big and small, but particularly in swamps and jungles, a lot of the plants, unless they're like a fern, which don't normally grow in swamps, are generally have really large leaves because they want to get as much sunlight as possible because it's normally very dark. So having small leaves is a good way to show some difference. The other option we can do is we can include additional creatures in our drawing that give a really good size. And these can be animals that we would recognize. So we could put in some birds, or we could put in, I'm trying to think what else we could add here. Swamps. Well, there's lots of insects in the swamps, but insects are generally quite small. So maybe a bird. So maybe what we'll do, maybe what I'll do is I'll just add in maybe a little bird. Now again, birds can be different sizes, so that doesn't necessarily help too much. But what if we just add in this bird and we said, here we go. This is a little bird. And we can see that this bird is very small in comparison to our big creature. And maybe I can put another bird here. Let's add some birds in. So have a think about what you might want to add, how you think you could make our character look more giant. It might be you might, rather than swinging through the trees, maybe they're hopping over logs in the forest, or maybe there's something else that you can use as a comparison. So something like that. And from here, I might just add in some extra vines. Maybe there's lots of vines hanging down. So you can add in as much or as little detail as you like. It's entirely up to you. This is where we can get very creative and design some very cool things. But I'm going to leave it there. So I reckon this character is pretty fun. I'm very excited to see what you guys come up with. So remember, if you would like to have a chance to have your work featured in my online gallery, take a photo of your finished work and send it through. So remember, from here you can color it in, you can do some sculpture, you can do whatever you like with this idea. You can also brainstorm your own prompts and create your own creature. And if you want, send your prompts through to me for your chance to be featured in an upcoming video. But meanwhile, grab your pencils and get drawing.